Before I start this video, I would like to point out that I don't feel Protoss is OP in Legacy of the Void, and I'm not trying to nerf them even more so with this proposal. The current issue with Protoss is that it relies on early cheese and all-ins to get wins in Legacy of the Void, because its late game is incredibly weak compared to Zerg and Terran. This video is addressing cheeses and all-ins. Don't discard this because it's talking about nerfing an underpowered race, because I am confident that the late game Protoss will be fixed in time, and in the meantime I would like to suggest a fix for early game Protoss. Yesterday when I was laddering, this Protoss player managed to fly an Oracle into my mineral line at only 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the game. Of course, following this game I simply had to jump into a replay and then custom game to see what is the fastest you can get an Oracle into your opponent's mineral line. I managed to get the time down to 3 minutes and 12 seconds, but behind that I also had 2 Stalkers at home and 3 Warp Gates to be able to attack with an Oracle, a Void Ray and 5 Stalkers at only 4 minutes into the game. I'm sure any Protoss players watching will be incredibly happy with this, and for you, I will leave the build order in the description, so that as many people as possible can exploit this, so to speak. This may sound like typical Terran balance wine, however this is a completely different situation to what was happening with the Oracle in Heart of the Swarm, as that was easy to defend against if you knew it was coming. This build is incredibly strong no matter how prepared the Terran is. To investigate this further, I timed out how large of an army could be made in 3 minutes and 12 seconds with the standard Reaper fast expand into 2x production. The answer? 2 Marines with 3 in production. But of course, what about scouting and reacting to what is scouted? Well, that is certainly possible. The second pylon in a normal build order for Protoss is built at 1 minute and 35 seconds. As you can see in this clip, building an engineering bay and turrets will only take 43 seconds total, meaning that a scout after supply depot, a 17 scout, and a scout after barracks will all get to the base in time to see no second pylon where the Terran can react accordingly. In fact, the only way you won't scout it in time is if you only scout with your Reaper, which arrives at the base at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 10 seconds after the Stalker is made. With the turrets up in the main and natural, the Oracles aren't going to do any damage, and the Terran player is now ahead. However, this does not mean that all is well and that this is perfectly balanced. It is possible and or likely that anyone below Diamond will not be able to read into this properly and would simply lose to this outright. As an example, I am in Platinum League and had no idea that this was coming even with a 17 scout, and as a result had 2 Marines to my name when the Oracle arrived in my mineral line. Everybody knows that Oracles are already difficult to beat in Heart of the Swarm for low level players, so how are we supposed to beat an Oracle that requires perfect scouting and reactions to defeat? The easiest fix for this would be to make turrets a barracks requirement like they were in the start of the beta once more. David Kim said in an interview with Lycan that in order to have more action still, we reverted this change. Now, people have praised Legacy of the Void for its unpredictable openings and interesting builds. This would all change if such a fast Oracle became well known, as every Terran would need to get an engineering bay before 2 minutes and 30 seconds, otherwise they could easily die to an Oracle. If Blizzard wants to create diverse games, then having a turret as an engineering bay requirement is the opposite of what they should be doing. By giving the turret a barracks requirement, it allows the Terran to play more reactionary to how they would do now. The reason I don't feel that this is overpowered is because the other race's early game harassment will rarely be game ending. A Terran can send 10 Marines in to kill a few probes, a Zerg can kill a few SCVs and a mule with speedlings. Oracles, DTs and Banshees, the units that are most affected by this change, are the only units in the game that will kill the opponent due to a lack of engineering bay.